Welcome, brave souls, to the realm of the unknown. Here in the heart of darkness, we unravel the chilling tales that lurk in the shadows, stories that will grip your imagination and chill you to the core. Prepare yourself for spine-tingling narratives that delve into the depths of fear, where every whisper holds a secret and every shadow conceals a terror. Join our community of thrill-seekers as we explore the macabre, the mysterious, and the downright terrifying. But remember, once you enter, there's no turning back. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a moment of our haunting adventures. Are you ready to embrace the fear? The darkness awaits. Hey there, city dwellers and horror fans. Ever dreamed of escaping the chaos and finding your own slice of peace in the concrete jungle? Our girl Mia did. From cramped family dinners to sharing a bathroom with, well, everyone, she was it. All she craved was the sweet, sweet silence of solitude. Imagine her joy when she stumbled upon a listing for a vintage charmer right in the heart of downtown. Yeah, you guessed it. A one-bedroom beauty in a classic old brownstone. Jackpot. The place had Mia written all over it. High ceilings, creaky floorboards, those gorgeous old-timey windows, pure character. Sure, it had a few quirks, but hey, who love a little personality in their life? Plus, the rent was a steal. Little did Mia know, some bargains come with a spooky price tag. Hey there, city dwellers and horror fans. Ever dreamed of escaping the chaos and finding your own slice of peace in the concrete jungle? Our girl Mia did. From cramped family dinners to sharing a bathroom with, well, everyone, she was it. All she craved was the sweet, sweet silence of solitude. Imagine her joy when she stumbled upon a listing for a vintage charmer right in the heart of downtown. Yeah, you guessed it. A one-bedroom beauty in a classic old brownstone. Jackpot. The place had Mia written all over it. High ceilings, creaky floorboards, those gorgeous old-timey windows, pure character. Sure, it had a few quirks, but hey, who love a little personality in their life? Plus, the rent was a steal. Little did Mia know, some bargains come with a spooky price tag. Moving day couldn't come soon enough. Boxes piled high, excitement buzzing. Mia was officially a solo dweller. As she lugged her stuff up the stairs, a sweet old lady from down the hall popped out. Mrs. Perkins, a kindly soul with a knowing smile. Seemed like everyone knew everyone in this building. A nice change from the anonymity of city life. They exchanged pleasantries, but then Mrs. Perkins's smile wavered, her voice dropping to a nervous whisper. You're a brave one, dear. That unit, it's had its troubles. Mia, bless her heart, just laughed it off. Troubles? Nah, it's just an old building, right? A little creaky, a little drafty, all part of the charm. Mrs. Perkins just shook her head slowly, those knowing eyes holding a lifetime of stories. Oh, just creaky floors and old pipes, I suppose. Nothing you can't handle. But something in her tone, a hint of warning, sent a shiver down Mia's spine. As the sun dipped below the horizon and Mia's last box was unpacked, the shadows in her apartment seemed to lengthen. That silence she craved, it was almost quiet. The city noises were muffled, as if the old brownstone walls were holding its breath, keeping secrets buried deep within. The first night alone, Mia tried to ignore the feeling of being watched. Every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the pipes seemed amplified in the stillness. Then, at precisely 3:07 a.m., a sound cut through the quiet, a sharp, distinct from the hallway just outside her bedroom door. Heart pounding, Mia held her breath, straining to hear anything at all. The silence stretched on, thick and heavy. Just an old building, she whispered to herself, her voice trembling slightly. But deep down, a seed of unease had been planted. Something wasn't right, and it was just the beginning. The next morning, daylight poured in, chasing away the shadows and the lingering fear. Mia chalked it up to nerves, the jitters of being in a new place. It's fine, totally normal, she muttered, forcing a smile as she sipped her coffee. But the silence of her apartment, once so appealing, now felt heavy, almost suffocating, like an uninvited guest had decided to stay and watch. Days turned into a week, and the feeling of unease lingered. Mia threw herself into work, trying to ignore the strange vibes. She told herself it was just the city, the constant hum of life outside that was getting to her. But deep down, a tiny voice whispered, "What if it's not?" Every time she walked past the hallway leading to her bedroom, a shiver crawled down her spine. The air felt different there, colder somehow. The second night arrived, cloaking the city in darkness. Just as Mia was drifting off to sleep, a sound jolted her awake. Footsteps, slow, deliberate and heavy, creaking along the old wooden floorboards in the hallway just outside her bedroom door. Her heart hammered in her chest. It couldn't be Mrs. Perkins. The steps were too heavy, too grounded. Terror froze Mia in place. She strained to hear, each creak of the floorboards sending shivers down her spine. The footsteps stopped right outside her door. Silence. Then a soft thud, as if someone or something had leaned against the door. Mia squeezed her eyes shut, willing herself to disappear under the covers. But the sound of her own ragged breathing filled the silence, a dead giveaway. Morning couldn't come soon enough. Mia threw open her bedroom door, desperate to escape the oppressive atmosphere, expecting to find... what? A logical explanation? A burglar who'd gotten spooked? But the hallway was empty, bathed in the soft morning light. Except, something wasn't right. There, on the polished wooden floor, a trail of damp footprints stretched from the front door to the living room. Large, heavy footprints. But here's the thing. Mia's door had been locked, the chain securely in place, no forced entry, no signs of a break-in. A wave of nausea washed over her. Who or what had walked her floors while she lay paralyzed in fear? Nightfall descended, and with it, a bone-chilling dread settled over Mia. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, hunted even. Sleep was impossible. The clock ticked past midnight, each second an agonizing crawl towards 7 a.m. The witching hour, they called it. The time when the veil between worlds was thinnest. The time when the darkness came alive. Mia huddled on the couch, clutching a throw pillow for dear life, her eyes glued to the hallway. She'd left all the lights on, as if that could somehow keep the darkness at bay. The silence was shattered by the distinct chime of the grandfather clock in the living room. 3:00 a.m. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the ticking of the clock. The air grew heavy, suffocating. Something was coming, and this time, Mia knew ignoring it wouldn't make it go away. Remember that seed of unease we talked about? Yeah, it had sprouted into a full-blown tree of terror. Mia knew she couldn't spend another night cowering in the dark. So she did what any self-respecting horror movie fan would do. She decided to face her fear head-on, armed with nothing but a flashlight, her phone, for those sweet, sweet emergency calls, and a healthy dose of liquid courage, a bottle of wine. Mia planted herself on the couch. She figured, hey, if something wants to play hide-and-seek, I'm game. Little did she know, this wasn't your average game of tag. The stakes? Oh, just her sanity. As the minutes ticked by, the silence in the apartment became almost unbearable. The only sound was the thump, thump, thump of Mia's heart, keeping rhythm with the old grandfather clock in the corner. And then, it hit her. A sudden wave of cold, so intense it felt like an icy hand had gripped her heart. The air grew heavy, making it hard to breathe. The hair on the back of her neck stood on end. This wasn't just the old building settling, this was something else. Something unnatural. The room seemed to hold its breath, the silence pressing down on her, suffocating her. She could feel her senses sharpening, every nerve ending on high alert. And then she heard it. The unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps, slow and deliberate, coming from the hallway. This time there was no mistaking it. Someone, was walking towards her. Each creak of the floorboard sent a fresh wave of terror through her. Fear, raw and primal, threatened to consume her. Her hand trembled as she gripped the flashlight tighter, her finger hovering over the on switch. Part of her wanted to stay hidden, to pretend she hadn't heard a thing. But a stronger part, the part fueled by adrenaline and a strange sense of morbid curiosity, urged her to confront the darkness. This was her apartment, damn it. Section 4. The Shadow Takes Shape. Taking a deep breath, Mia flicked on the flashlight. The hallway, bathed in the sudden beam of light, appeared empty. But something wasn't right. The air hung heavy, charged with an unseen energy, and then she saw it. At the far end of the hallway, a shadow flickered, darker than the surrounding darkness. It wasn't a shadow cast by any object in the room. It was as if the darkness itself was taking on a form. Her blood ran cold. The thing, seemed to writhe and pulse, growing larger with each passing second. Terror, pure and unadulterated, rooted Mia to the spot. Her mind screamed at her to run, to escape while she still could, but her body refused to obey. Section 5. Frozen with Fear. The shadow began to move towards her, gliding effortlessly across the floor. It wasn't walking, it was like liquid darkness given a life of its own. Mia's breath caught in her throat, her heart pounding against her ribs like a trapped bird. She wanted to scream, to cry out for help, but no sound escaped her lips. As the shadow drew closer, she noticed its shape shifting, stretching towards her like skeletal fingers. The temperature plummeted again, the air growing so cold it felt like it was burning her lungs. Just as the shadow was about to engulf her, the flashlight slipped from her numb fingers, plunging the hallway into darkness once more. The last thing Mia remembered was the blood-curdling scream trapped in her throat. Section 1. A Rude Awakening. The first thing Mia registered was the throbbing pain in her head. Groaning, she opened her eyes, her vision blurry and disoriented. The room was bathed in the soft light of dawn, but the previous night's events hung in the air like a bad smell. What had happened? The last thing she remembered was the shadow reaching for her, the bone-chilling cold. Then the memories came flooding back, each one more terrifying than the last. The footsteps, the cold, the shadow, that. Scrambling to her feet, she stumbled back, pressing herself against the wall, her eyes frantically searching the room. The hallway was empty, bathed in the warm glow of the morning sun, but the terror lingered. She had to get out of there. Now. Her phone. Where was her phone? She needed to call for help, to call someone, anyone. She spotted it on the floor near the couch where it must have fallen during the night. Relief, swift and sharp, pierced through the fog of fear. But as she reached for it, her blood ran cold. The phone was dead. Not just out of battery dead, but dead. The screen was spiderwebbed with cracks, the once sleek surface now a mangled mess. Panic welled up inside her, threatening to overwhelm her. She was trapped, alone, with whatever was. Fumbling with the locks, her hands shaking so badly she could barely turn the keys, Mia finally managed to unlock the door. She had to get out, had to escape the suffocating confines of the apartment. As she threw open the door, a wave of fresh air hit her, the sounds of the city breaking through the terrifying silence that had enveloped her. But the relief was short-lived. Scrawled on the wall beside the door in what looked like dried blood were 3 words that sent chills down her spine: "Leave now." Mia didn't need to be told twice. She fled the apartment, her heart pounding in her chest, not daring to look back. Mia never went back to the apartment. She left everything behind: the furniture, the clothes, the memories. The experience had shaken her to her core, leaving her terrified of her own shadow. Months later, while recounting her terrifying tale to a friend, she learned the truth about the building's dark history. It turned out that years ago, a man living in Mia's apartment had vanished without a trace. The neighbors had reported hearing strange noises, footsteps in the night, but the police had never found any sign of foul play. The case had gone cold, the missing man fading into a local legend, a whisper of a story told to frighten newcomers. Mia eventually found a new place, a bright and modern studio apartment with none of the old-world charm of the brownstone. But the experience continued to haunt her. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that the shadow was still out there, lurking in the corners of her mind. And sometimes, late at night, just as the clock ticked past 3:07 a.m., she could swear she heard the faint echo of footsteps in the hallway, the creaking of floorboards, a whisper of cold air. And in the deepest recesses of her mind, the shadow stirred, its edges rippling, waiting for the moment to claim its next victim. Down the stairs, Mia flew, each step a desperate plea for distance. The words scrawled in crimson burned into her mind. Leave now. No time for belongings, no time for goodbyes, just the raw, primal need to escape. She hit the street, the morning air a slap in the face. The city sounds both jarring and strangely comforting. A cab, thank God, idled at the curb. She didn't even think, just threw herself into the back seat, gasping for air. Go, 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 she choked out, her voice a stranger's. The driver, a burly man with a bored expression, glanced at her in the rearview mirror, eyebrows raised. Where to, lady? He drawled, skeptical. Mia could only shake her head, fear making words impossible. Just away from here. Fast. Hours later, wrapped in a borrowed blanket on her friend's couch, the full weight of what happened crashed over Mia. She'd left everything behind. Her apartment, her belongings, her sanity maybe. Her friend, bless her soul, listened patiently as Mia stumbled through the story, tears mixing with mascara. The footsteps, the cold, the shadow, Mia whispered, her voice trembling. It felt. Her friend, ever the pragmatist, squeezed her hand. Look, you were stressed, sleep-deprived. It was probably just a bad dream, you know? Old buildings make weird noises. Mia wanted to believe her, she really did. But deep down, a cold knot of fear told her otherwise. This wasn't just a bad dream. This was real. Days turned into weeks, and Mia tried to rebuild her life. She found a new apartment, bright and modern, nothing like the creepy brownstone. But the fear lingered, a constant shadow in the back of her mind. Then, one evening, while recounting her experience to a group of friends, one of them, a history buff, piped up. Wait, hold up, he said, scrolling through his phone. What was the address of that building again? Mia told him, a shiver running down her spine as he typed it into his phone. His eyes widened. Holy crap, he breathed. There's a whole bunch of creepy stuff online about that place. Disappearances, strange occurrences. Some people even say it's haunted. The pieces clicked into place. The old lady's warning, the footsteps, the shadow. It all made sense now. Mia hadn't imagined it. She'd been living in a nightmare. The knowledge, while terrifying, brought a strange sense of validation. She wasn't crazy, she wasn't weak, she was a survivor. But even in her new apartment, safe and secure, the fear lingered. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of the lights, sent a jolt of fear through her. She couldn't escape the feeling that she was being watched, that the shadow was still out there, waiting for her. And then there was the time. 3:07 a.m. Every night, without fail, Mia would wake with a jolt, her heart racing, a cold sweat clinging to her skin. The clock, a cruel reminder, would always show the same time, the witching hour. Sleep, once a refuge, had become the enemy. Because in the darkness, in the quiet hours before dawn, Mia knew she wasn't alone. The shadow was still out there, lurking in the corners of her mind, a constant reminder of the terror she had faced, and the terror that still awaited her. The city that never sleeps had become Mia's prison of fear. Gone was the carefree excitement of living alone, replaced by a constant, gnawing anxiety. She'd traded the chaos of a shared apartment for the chilling silence of her own thoughts, haunted by the memory of the shadow. Even in broad daylight, surrounded by the comforting bustle of city life, Mia couldn't shake the feeling of unseen eyes watching her. Every shadow seemed to hold the potential for something sinister, every creak of a floorboard a chilling echo of her nightmare. The scars of the unseen ran deep, invisible to the outside world but ever present in her mind. Nightfall, once a time for rest and rejuvenation, had become a terrifying ordeal. As the clock ticked closer to 7 a.m., a familiar dread would creep in, tightening its grip on Mia's chest. Sleep, elusive and fragile, offered no escape. Her dreams, once filled with hope and ambition, were now plagued by shadowy figures and the chilling sensation of icy fingers brushing against her skin. 7 a.m., the witching hour. The time when the veil between the real and the unimaginable thinned, when the shadows whispered her name. Mia knew, with a certainty that chilled her to the bone, that the darkness she had encountered in that old brownstone had followed her. It lingered just beyond the reach of her senses, a constant threat, a reminder that some horrors never truly let go.
The shadows are restless tonight, and so are we. If you're brave enough, hit that like button. Let us know what you think in the comments, and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories that lurk just around the corner.